strive for wines to be unfiltered and, all these different things. They used to filter wines. A European technique is to drop egg whites into wine.
Egg whites.
And when you drop egg whites into finished wine, the egg whites would cling to the particles, and then they would strain it. And that was the easiest way to strain particles out of wine. If you feel that you have a wine that has a lot of sediment and it's evident to you and it bothers you, pour it through a coffee filter into a decanter, and that'll catch most of that sediment, and then you can eliminate it.
In a decanter, that's supposed to decant the wine, doesn't that kind of give it a lot of oxygen?
It's going to give it more air, absolutely, yep.
Okay.
So should you decant?
Decanting wine changes it, and nowadays there used to be no other way to do this, but nowadays, just like everything else in our life, there's a newfangled device that can do that for you, and it's basically an aerator, and a lot of customers at our restaurant like that. I'm not a big fan of them.
Why?
Well, I look at it, Deb, like a steak. If you cook a steak too much, you can't go backwards. So in my opinion, you should try the wine first. And then if you feel the wine would benefit from some aeration, then aerate it. But a lot of customers like to run it through an aerator into a decanter right off the bat. And I don't know that that's really the best way to go about it. The aerator, all that's going to do is going to change it and open it in a quicker fashion.
So it lets it breathe faster.
Faster, exactly.
So that means you better drink it fast.
Well, you might want to drink it faster, but like I say, it's better to try the wine and then figure out what it is that you want the wine to do after that.
And how would you even know?
It's something that you kind of learn after a while.
An educated palate.
And if you've had that particular wine before, usually a big high-end Cabernet. Most of your red wines now are on vintage year 12 or 13. The 14s are starting to show up a little bit, but typically 12 and 13. And any big Napa Valley Cabernet or some of these big, expensive wines that would range in price from $25 to $60 to $100, those wines would all benefit from a little decanting. The problem is when you buy a big bottle, expensive bottle of wine like that, you can get down to the last drink and you're thinking, oh my goodness, this wine is so great, but then there's no wine left. So decanting it,
I've done that.
Decanting it and allowing it to breathe allows it to open quicker and allows you to enjoy that bottle sooner before it's all gone.
So there's no right or wrong answer.
No, it's just really more of an answer of your own personal taste.
So if I just pretend like I wanted to buy a bottle of wine for somebody for a special occasion, and I wanted them to save it to drink, like say they're getting married, and I wanted them to drink it on their first wedding anniversary, what kind of wine would I buy?
Well, you would want to buy, if it was a white wine, you'd want to buy a Chardonnay or a white Burgundy wine that would have the ability to age. All right, white Burgundies are primarily 100% Chardonnay wines that come from Burgundy, France, or a nice full-bodied Chardonnay wine from the United States. Typically, Chardonnay is going to be your best bet to age a bit, all right, if it's a white wine. And then if it's a red wine, you're going to want Cabernet, perhaps Merlot or Pinot Noir, one of those three, or a European-styled wine. It would be maybe a Tempranillo, a nice Chianti perhaps, or a Bordeaux-style wine. And like I said before, only 5% of the wines out there really, really benefit from aging. But if you want them to drink it on that first anniversary, that's not that much time. And so a lot of times guys, men and women will buy a bottle of wine of a current vintage for their children, when they buy it when the year they're born. And a lot of times those wines, by the time they get to be aged, 21 years, they don't stand a chance. All they are is a novelty with the same date on it. So,
Right, yeah, that wouldn't be good.
I had a friend of mine who bought a bottle of wine like that for his son, and once his son got to be 18, he found the wine in his dad's cellar along with his Cuban cigars, drank the bottle of wine, smoked a Cuban cigar, got sick, wasted the whole thing, and much to my friend's dismay, he ruined what he had planned for his son.
Oh, that's too bad.
But kids are kids.
Yeah, well, wait till he's 21 or something and take him to a bar and buy him something nice. Don't wait, so many years. Just do it when it's time.
If that's what they want to do. Maybe they don't want to drink at all. Who knows? Maybe they want to not to even touch a drop of alcohol. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that.
So say we come into the restaurant and we order some food. Would you come and tell us what what to order? What kind of wine would go pair well with what we ordered?
Well, believe it or not, all right, there used to be a time when customers welcomed that. All right, but more and more in this day of empowerment that we live in, or this year of empowerment, I have very knowledgeable staff, wonderful people that can certainly help you with that type of stuff. But nowadays, everybody runs around with a phone, and you wouldn't believe how many pictures I constantly get. So we get people that are walking around in my wine retail area where we have over 750 different selections, and they're shooting pictures, and immediately these different apps they have on their phone shoot back what foods go well with it.
Right.
So basically, if you've got an iPhone, you got like a computer at your fingertips.
Right.
So it's almost like having your own personal sommelier anywhere you go. The biggest thing about wine nowadays in terms of tastes is, what you like is really a personal preference, and lighter wine with lighter food, heavier wine with heavier food, less acidic wine with more acidic food, and vice versa. So really, yes, we can help you. The other thing a lot of times is what's on sale and what kind of specials we have running.
Right.
That predicates
That
what
makes a
people
difference,
like to
right?
order as
now,
well.
wait a minute. I come into the restaurant and I decide what I want to eat, and I walk up to the waitress or whatever, and I say, I want Peggy's Reserved. I want Peggy's Reserved. That's the stuff that's in the back, that's over in a corner in a box. That's, your wife. So do I get that Peggy Reserve?
If you ordered Peggy Reserve, most of my staff would tell you that they wouldn't be sure what that wine is because my wife doesn't drink a lot of wine. One of her favorite wines, though, is a wine that a lot of women like, and it's called Roscato, and it's an Italian wine that's an equal blend of sweet red wine and Moscato. And it's not too sweet, and it's not too dry,
be good summer
and
wine.
it goes very good with food. So that's one of Peg's favorites. But she always enjoys when I tell her that something's good, and she concurs with me, then I know I'm on to something. There's many times that I'll think something is really good, then I'll let Peg taste it, and she kind of brings me back down to earth about it and say that she doesn't like it. But she understands wine in a way that I think most women understand wine, and one of the things to consider is that women typically, it's proven, have a better palate than men. And as men age, their palate deteriorates quicker than a women's palate. I read a few different things about that.
That's because we have better taste.
In so many things.
It's probably best for me not to even touch that one,
No,
Deb.
not
I'll just
at all.
let that,
I wouldn't
I'll
go
let that
there,
bullet
but-
go right
yeah.
over my head.
Please. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I bet you heard it whistle, huh?
He had to duck a little bit, I noticed. Nice part. So there's a lot of different things that we've learned from you tonight, and I thank you so much for being our wine connoisseur. You are a resident
Every time
wine
he comes,
connoisseur.
He's so full of information.
Yes, new things. Tell us about the wines that you brought us for July.
The two wines I brought tonight are some brand new wines. If anybody in our audience, and if we're talking around the world, you didn't make our wine walk last week on Midland Street, but we had a wine walk a week ago where we had over 500 people roving around amongst 17 different spots, and we served these two wines. They were a great hit. They're called 1-2 Punch. They're from the Fetzer Winery. They're all organic. I brought a nice little crispy Riesling wine, just the right amount of balance between sweet and dry. And then I brought a Chardonnay that typically is not Chardonnay in style, so a lot of the Chardonnay haters out there would actually like these wines. But for the month of July, typically people want something that's light and refreshing, so I brought true light, refreshing wines for you divas for this month. And we had the same thing last month as well, and next month we'll get a couple lighter reds, and then when we get out of August, and I regretfully so, and it's back into football season, we'll get back into some heavier wines. But with that in mind, I just always encourage people to experiment. Don't let other people dictate what you want to try. There's no wrong answers when you sample wine or enjoy wine. Wine has been around since the beginning of time. It's the oldest known beverage to man. It'll be here long after all of us are gone. You literally can, but we'll leave our tracks, won't we, Deb? Empty bottles
will.
and corks right to the grave. But, you can make wine out of literally anything and everything, and that's evidenced by Peggy and I taking constant phone calls from people that ask us for empty bottles so they can make wine from this, that, and the other thing. So enjoy wine, have fun with wine, enjoy wine with your special times and your family, whether it be weddings, whether it be divorces, boo. No matter what they may be, wine is, like I say, is part of our gracious way of life. and it definitely enhances all the things that make life worth living. So I appreciate being here. Like always, I love answering the questions. Knowledge is king. We do wine tastings at our restaurant by reservation. We're over 100, and like I said earlier, I'm going to do one after we leave here. If you like wine and you'd like to do one of these things, then give me a call at the restaurant. We'll be glad to set one up. And it's never that complicated. We're going to taste the kind of wine you want to taste. And we welcome groups exclusively. About 8 to 15 works best, because that way I can answer all the questions. And those events typically take a little bit more than an hour, depending on how many questions. And what I've learned is if it's a group of girls, Deb, once Mr. Alcohol starts working, all you girls all want to keep talking louder and louder. And it's just time for me to be done. Now, I've done tastings for men, and what the difference is, they just want to be right. All right. So where you women just want to keep talking, the men want to be right fighters, and they want to just tell me that they're all right. So either way, I know that my goal is to try to get it in under about an hour and 10 minutes, because otherwise there's just no point in keeping on talking.
That's true. Good point.
Well,
we thank you for not only educating us on wine. It's so nice to have a wine connoisseur right here in Michigan. And I thank you for introducing Michigan wines to me, because as you know, I was a California wine snob. And I
was
okay. I still am a little bit, but I appreciate you trying to. There are some Michigan wines that I really like now, and I owe that to you, and I thank you for that. I also thank you for everything that you do for the community. You are very involved, and I just admire that very much.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tonight's event is going to help the Can Council. Peggy and I don't turn anyone away that comes over for a contribution. We've helped any and every cause out there at my former restaurant over a period of 18 years. Between all the events we did probably somewhere in the vicinity of about $750,000 to charity, between all the various fundraisers and gift certificates and this, that, and the other thing that we gave away.
Nice.
So it's just an empty building without people. And if you're listening to this on the far side of the globe, come on over and visit us, and we'll help your charity too.
Yep, you are very good about that, and we so admire that. That's another reason why we go there, besides the wine.
One thing I wanted to make sure and point out, if any listeners are out there, is that Diva Night is on the first Wednesday of every month. And Wednesday, all the wine that we sell by the glass, some 33 types, are all available at half price. So there is a method to the madness of these divas here.
That's right. Dinos at Vinos.
They can drink twice as much at half the price.
That's right.
And we need that.
And we have a really good time. Vino Wine Warehouse and New Age Restaurant is located at 510 Midland Street. Their number is 989-460-0117. We'll see you Wednesday. And Peggy, thanks for coming.
Thanks,
and feel
Peggy.
free to stay, but we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up.
Yep.
Thanks again, and happy 4th of July, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Greg.
much, Greg. So we have Dino's at Vino's the first Wednesday of every month. That's a big thing. We're going to be there at 7 o'clock, and Greg always leaves us a really cool sign. And I've saved most of those signs just because I really like what he says. Hey, Greg, did you leave me your script from the July wine?
It's around.
Oh, because I put them in our
It's
in
around
our
here
book.
someplace.
So anyway, we're going to be there at 7 o'clock. We usually stay till about 7 or 8:30. Thanks. Coming up August 29th, we have our first fire, roast, and trunk show.
Now, who are we roasting?
Josh Sharrow.
Really?
It's going to be really fun. And Linda Sarantis, she's Fire Infusion.
She's really going to roast him.
Yes, she's going to do a fire dance for us. And we're also inviting people that make stuff. A trunk show. So if you make jewelry, if you sew, if you whatever you make, you hand make it. We're inviting you to take part in that. That's August 29th.
But I can come, right?
Yes, well, of course. August 10th is a new view of you. So I hope that you mark your calendars for that. That is going to be an epic event. It's the first of its kind in Michigan. We have some really good guest speakers. There's going to be 5 of us. And you're going to walk away with your makeup redone and a photograph by our favorite photographer, Chandra Jewell. And you will feel like a new woman and have a new view of yourself, thus a new view of you.
And